This is the Gray Area Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus. I'm here with Stud, and we've been hearing a lot of stuff in the streets about the video he did with Ty. I got him here, and we're going to get the record straight. All right, man. So tell me a little bit about yourself. So you're from Peekskill. Where about in Peekskill?
I'm from a place called The Heights, man. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of off under a bridge on its own. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think what side of Peekskill, because there's the east side, west side. It's like I forgot actually what side of Peekskill it's on. But
right.
Yeah.
So I brought you on also is because I saw Ty's interview and he was asking you a lot of questions. He had a lot of questions about the Big Dog operation, and they have some things about you being a drug dealer at a young age. So with that being said, when did that life start for you?
So I can basically say that life started for me when I was a youngin', like maybe, it actually started when I was 12 years old. It was just like the era that I grew up in was a rough one, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Especially here. Certain people think, small town, it shouldn't be rough here, but
right.
That's very far from the truth, man. You know what I'm saying? There's murderers, drugs, and things everywhere. So,
siblings. Do you have siblings?
Yes, sir.
How many?
So on my mom's side, I have one older brother and one younger brother. You know what I'm saying? And then me. So, now on my pop side, I can't accurately tell you how many, but yeah, there's a few.
So how was growing up? How was your relationship with your mom, your dad?
So I mean, my mom, me and her had kind of a rough relationship and a loving one at the same time. So I mean, I like to always bring that back to, like, when my mother was pregnant with me, she tried to commit suicide while she was pregnant with me. So it was kind of like I was not gonna make it.
Right.
But I actually made it, and it was rough. Having the experience of growing up and not having anything, because there was always issues. I'm not the only one with these issues, but
right.
I can only explain to you how it affected me. So yeah, man, it was rough, man. You know what I'm saying?
So with that being said, when you as they say, when you jumped off the porch,
right,
was it an easy transition? Was it hard? Were you nervous? Do you remember your first time?
Yeah. I mean, I remember it. It's been a long time. I'm old now, kid, so it's been a long time. But I remember it, man. It was scary, right? But then once, I don't know, I guess once you get in the groove of it, then it was exhilarating at some point as well. It was fun and scary at the same time. So that kind of made your adrenaline flow. So it was weird.
With that lifestyle, how did that correlate with your mom? Did she know you was doing these type of things? Did you hide it from her? Were you?
Yeah. So nah, she never knew. I mean, in the early years, she didn't know at all. So like what I had to do was, like, I started off as a lookout for this older man that, you know, he sold a lot of drugs in the neighborhood.
Right.
And he used to have me look out because back then, you know, I was young, I was little, I was slim. So, you know, when the place looked like it was going to get raided, you know, you ran to the dude and be like, yo, they over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yo, here they come, y'all. Know what I'm saying? And he was paying me some decent bread, like, for back then, you know, and I used to have to hide my bread. That in itself was a task. Like, just trying to hide the little bit of bread that I was making. So I knew that my mom, she didn't have anything. So I would have to find creative ways to slip bread into her wallet, or, you know, try to think of creative ways, man, because I couldn't just say, yo, Ma, I got
this money.
this much money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Did there come a point when you knew that maybe you were good at it?
Yeah, there came a point. I mean, as I got a little bit older, I'm going to say when I was about 15, 16, I started being like, man, yo, like, I'm kind of nice at this. Like, you know what I'm saying? I could kind of move a little bit, but I still didn't have a sense or respect for money. So even though I was getting real nice with it, I was still blowing bread like crazy because, you know, if you come up and you don't have nothing and you're hungry, as soon as you see some bread, you're going to blow it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I can dig it. I definitely dig it. I know how those nights can be sometimes.
Yeah.
To jump around a little bit, Stud, how did you get how did that come about? How did you get that tag name?
So the name Stud, it was weird. So there was a dude that I lived with. You know, me and him were friends since we was kids, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he didn't know how to spell stutter. He spelled it S-T-U-D-D-E-R.
Right.
Instead of S-T-U-T-T-E-R.
Right.
So then one day he was like, man, listen, it's too long for me to say stutter every time. So he said, I'm going to just start calling you Stud. And even though he spelt it wrong, it stuck, like, cause, you know, we didn't really realize that he spelt it wrong until I was older, and everybody was like, yo, now I just can't run around and be like, all right, yo, you can't say this, you gotta say this. Everybody know me by that already. So it's I don't know. I left it alone.
You left it alone?
Yeah.
So, you know, out here in the streets, was it just you? Did you have a team? What was the makeup?
I mean, well, I didn't always have a team in the organized sense of the word, right? But there was always homies around me. And, you know, at young ages, when you on your way up, you run through a few, you know, homies, like in that way, like you be hanging with this homie, and then y'all probably outgrow each other. So then you hanging with this homie. So, I mean, the team that everybody has come to know me to be affiliated with, I met them young. Like, we was only like 15, 16, maybe when I met them. You know what I'm saying? But we were still floating though. You know what I'm saying? Really not sure of what it was gonna be, or if we were the type of dudes to deal with each other in that way. Right. So, and you don't ever think that at the time. You're just floating, like, yo, all right, boom, I'm hanging with
this person, I'm with that person. It is what it is.
But then, you know, eventually real dudes gonna link up, and, you know, it's like glue. You're gonna stick with those who are real.
At any point, did you ever, I mean, I'm pretty sure you might have was scared But like, were you ever scared enough or worried about any consequences at a young age when you were doing this?
I would say that I had a fear only of what I knew could actually happen in the moment. I don't know. I mean, I can't say that I had like a fear that kind of shook me that bad, because at those ages, you know, like we know now, your brain is not fully developed at those ages, man. So you don't really take fear. Like, you have the emotion, because every human being has the fear emotion.
Right.
But you don't really know how much it can affect you until something extraordinary happens. So yes, I had fear, but not fear to a point where I was going to stop, especially when my mom's is hungry and my little brother needs school clothes and my grandmother, I was taking care of too many people to really be scared.
Did that ever seem like too much pressure for you to have to seem like be at this young age and have to be the provider for so many people?
Yeah, it was scary. But you know, like, I mean, it's crazy. It sounds like cliche too, right? But there's an old adage that says, man, you know, you have to really understand your surroundings, right? And just know, like, what you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? Like this, cause it's not like you're thinking, like, it's not like I ever stopped and thought like, yo, I'm taking care of too many people, or I'm taking care of all these people. I have to do this. It's basically like, yo, man, like, either you swim or drown. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's cliche, but that's just real. Yeah, that's just real. Like, either you swim or drown. So, you know.
During this time when you were like, you know, running around and getting money, what would be like an average night? What would be like a decent night?
So I answered this question before, right? And it's funny. So an average night, there were certain time periods where the money was more crazy than it was at this point in my life, right? So I would say in the earlier years of my life, when I didn't really know how to move, you know, back then money was everywhere. So you could make $1,000 a night, and that would be a beautiful night.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but as time went on, the money got bigger because I knew more. You know, and then other things start happening for you. Like, you know, once your brand gets out and people know you for a certain thing, and, you know, then people going to start to deal with you, and you gather up a certain clientele, and then you start to eat real big that way. So I'm going to say, like I said before, man, I'm going to be generous. My homie, he had a phone that was clicking like 10 grand, man, like in a night, like easy. You know what I'm saying? And all of us used to use that. You know what I'm saying? But you had to break him off. Like, all of that wasn't yours. You had to break him off.
So it was more of a phone thing. It was not like a hand to hand per se, like standing on the corner.
Nah, it was still standing on the corner. But when the era of cell phones really started hitting, you know, and I know there's going to be people that watch this and swear to Jesus that they invented
the trap phone.
The trap phone. All right. So please don't sue me. Right. But, when phones were this big and your phone bill was $500, no matter if you made one phone call or if you made 100,
Right.
me and my homies had phones, and a lot of dudes didn't have them then. Where I'm talking about, we had phones when you had to go to a payphone still because your battery died, and it's not like now chargers everywhere.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy. But yeah, man, I mean, you still had to stand on the block though still.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Was there ever any people out here making as much money or like close to what you guys were making during the time?
There were people making way more money than we were making. Way more money than we were making, honestly. You know what I'm saying?
So like you said, 10 grand on a phone is, would you say, minuscule to what other people were?
I mean, I never actually counted other people's bread.
Right.
You know, I'm not into that, but I'm going to tell you that there was some trappers out here who was eating crazily, just as much or even more. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those guys are, they joined Team USA now though, so I really don't care to mention them, but I got to give them what I got to give them. They was eating.
They was eating.
Crazy. Either just as much or more.
Wow.
Yep.
So, during this time, have you ever had to sell to any family members or friends' family members? And if so, how did that make you feel? Did you ever have a problem with that? Was that a thing?
I've sold to some family members. I've sold to friends, family members. It didn't make me feel whole. Like I was like, wow, like, you know, I needed the bread. But afterwards, you think me, I'm going to speak for me. I used to be like, damn. So there's one homie of mine in particular. Of course, I won't mention his name. But he was a close friend of mine, but he wasn't in the streets though. So his mom was on drugs just like mine was. And his mother approached me and I told her I'm no longer going to sell her anything at all. And she got angry at me. And, you know, she would curse me out, everything. And I'm like, yo, like, your son is my man, though. Like, I'm not going to do that, yo. Like, that's crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? But it took for me to get older a little bit to really, for that part of me to start to show, because at some point you don't care. Right? Because you got to feed who you have to feed. But then your conscience starts to eat you as time goes on, because you're seeing this person start to just wither away. And then a part of that is because of you. Right? So you're destroying the fabric of somebody else's family. And in certain cases, you're destroying the fabric of yours as well.
So being in the streets like that, and you said that your mom was on drugs, how did that, like knowing what you were doing and probably seeing her struggle with drugs, like how did that, what was the relationship in between there?
Yeah, so my mother, she was on drugs for a period, and, you know, it's always said, I don't know if you ever heard this, like a person is going to stop doing what they're doing when they're ready, when they feel like it. So, the thing with that was, it's like my mom was on drugs for a certain period of time, and it was hurtful to me because, like, I knew, right? So it was kind of strange, like me being out there and her being out there, but her not even knowing that I was hustling, because every time she would be moving through any blocks, I'm just there and I see her and I'm out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to stay there because then she going to know, like, yo, wait a minute, what are you out here for?
Right.
And so, but yeah, it was like a hurtful thing though, because I'm like, wow, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, my mom's is on drugs. I mean, my mother was a functional addict though. She had like, she always had a job. She always, but it was just like she, you know, back then people didn't know what drugs or how drugs hurt you.
Right.
So if a drug is new and you don't know what it is and you try it and you be like, oh shit, this is a great feeling. But you don't know that shit gonna drag you after a few years. So after some years, my mom got her act straight and she got off drugs, never to use drugs no more after that. But it was just a crazy thing, a crazy time for her to be on drugs. And then me being out there, that didn't make me feel like a good human being.
Right.
At that moment. You know what I'm saying?
Can you talk a little bit about your dad? Where there was, as a, you know, a male figure in your life, how did that help or hurt you growing up?
Yeah, so my pops, he was in my life up until like 86.
Okay.
In 86, he left. And you know how that be like. Some guys, when they break up with your mother, they break up with the children as well.
Right.
So that's kind of how that went. And I seen them off and on in the years after. But he was not like a father figure because he wasn't there. So my father figures were in the street. You know, like I looked up to, you know, all of the older homies who were out there. A few of them were on drugs, but you didn't know. And, you know, a few of them were hustling. So those are the dudes that I looked up to and that taught me how to be a man. You know what I'm saying?
While you were out running the streets, by any chance, or was there any point where you ever did any drugs?
Nah, yo, you know what's crazy, right? Like, I grew up in an era where, like, a lot of my homies winded up being on drugs, man.
Right.
And I was scared to death because I saw a lot before I was able to even think about trying drugs, right? Like, I know some homies that was on PCP, and every time they smoked it, they'll get butt naked. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I seen that, and I'm like, damn, these motherfuckers, they jumping out of windows and all kinds of shit. I don't want to be on nothing that make me get ass naked and hop out a window. You know what I'm saying? That was crazy. Like, I always had a good sense of, like, what was not for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause it was like, yo, I seen dudes that smoke crack, and when they didn't have no more crack, a piece of lint on the floor looked like crack. They picking up lint and putting it in the crack pipe. You know what I'm saying? Cause I was in trap houses. You know what I'm saying?
So it was a situation where you just became numb to all of that type of stuff. Yeah,
like I was just numb in the way where I was like, yo, you know what? I don't think drugs are for me. Now, weed, I did smoke weed. That's the only drug that, you know, I mean, I can't say it was a vice, but anybody that knows me know I take 1, 2, 3 pulls. I'm good for the night.
Good for the night, right. You wasn't a 4 blunt a day person.
Yeah, I could never, like, my body wouldn't let me. Even like with alcohol, like, I would drink, and I've been drinking since I was like 18 maybe.
Okay. And
like, even with drinking, like, to this day, I could take 2 shots and I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never was the type to really, like, I couldn't be me, you, and the homies and drink a whole bottle of Henny and
be out there wilding.
Yeah,
like
that shit was no go for me, bro.
So as your life progressed, you're out here, you're getting money. I'm assuming you start to live the life. You're supporting your family. I'm sure you've been able to buy cars and whatever you wanted to buy. During those periods, what is going through your mind when you're seeing all of this money come in? What do you like?
Hey, I mean, I'm living in the moment. Like, I'm seeing bread and I'm living in the moment. Like, I was never a flashy type of individual though. Okay. So like, you have to understand the way I think. So I was around a lot of flashy motherfuckers, like dudes that had it all, Once in a while, I would get dressed up. Once in a while, I'll put a mink on and let it drag on the floor, here and there. Right. But like, I was never a flashy person. So like, there was people that knew I was eating, but they'll see me in a sweatsuit, like the same as I'm wearing now. But it would actually be more raggedy back then.
Right.
And, I was just more or less the type of person that wanted to stack his bread and kind of be easy. Like, I didn't want the lights on me like that. And,
did you ever have like a get out amount? Like, when I get this, I'll stop. Or was it always just chasing and?
So we can combine those, right?
Okay.
And say this. The amount that I said I was going to stop at, once I got to it, I seen a little more road. So I said, man, let me run up the rest of this road. You know what I'm saying? And maybe at this amount, I'll stop. That's when greed hits you.
Do you care to share what that amount may have been?
Nah, I don't care to share that amount. I mean, I can tell you this. When I first touched 100, I mean, and I said, yo, I'm gonna stop at 100 G's. When we got to 100 G's, it was one or two things that happened, right? In the early days, dude do something stupid, and then you don't have 100 G's no more.
Right.
Or, you get the 100 G's and be like, all right, damn, maybe I can get 500. That came quick.
Did it come quick for you to your?
Yeah, once I got older and the money was flowing and I knew how to put it up, that came quick. So when you make a goal like that and it comes that quick, your mind start playing tricks on you. Cause now your mind is saying, yo, you made 100 G's. Let's just say I'm not saying this is the amount of time I made it in.
Right.
The haters gonna be watching this and saying, he did what?
Of course.
But, so the 100 might have came in a month, right? Let's just say, right? That's not accurate.
Right. That's for.
Then you see that 100 and you be like, oh, wait a minute. Yo, that shit came mad fast. Man, I could get 500 and I swear I'm gonna stop. That shit never works, bro. It never works because you always feel like you're losing out when in actuality, you're blessed to have what you have. Like, you don't realize that you're blessed to have what you have. So now you like, yo, man, I can get this. And when you reach that, you say, oh, I can get this. And it's like, oh, man.
So it's just like a vicious cycle.
It's a cycle. Like, you're never going to be happy.
Were you happy?
No.
Generally?
No, I wasn't. Like, me as a human being, I was not happy. And here's why. Because I was getting money, right? I was with some of the baddest women, and all of that was to pacify an ever-growing ego, right? I was humble though still, right? In the eyes of others, but the raging battle was within me. So to keep feeding that ego, it's like, of course, like keep putting logs on the fire and then the accelerant, right? So it's just like it keeps going and it keeps going. So you can't possibly be happy and chasing everything that you're chasing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was just the thing where, I wasn't happy and I thought I was happy. Right? Everybody handout. Haters. Dudes that want to harm you. Dudes that, the whole assumption that you are at the top when morally and emotionally you're at the bottom.
Wow.
Straight up, like, it's two different things and people don't really understand that. Like, it's hard to explain if, like, the words don't really come to me to really explain it how I want to, but it's just weird. Like, you think you're up here, but you're really here. Like, your feelings, your emotions, but you're still on that high.
Right.
Right? Because the people that depend on you are never going to tell you the truth because they need you.
Wow.
Right? So they're going to keep on throwing accelerant on the fire that they think is going to burn forever. And then you think is going to burn forever. Right?
Right.
And then people come and extinguish it. So
wow.
That's how that go.
So, they had a thing in Peekskill. It was the Big Dog operation.
Yeah.
You were a part of that.
Yeah.
You did jail time.
Yeah.
How much time did you do?
I did 15 years. Most of it in the feds. My last year in New York State.
15 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Any of your boys or your people come to see you during this time? Like, where were those people then? Were they around at this point? Well, how about we say, how did you even get caught? How about we start there?
I'm gonna be honest with you, right? I didn't even know how I got caught till after I got caught. Right. Like, I didn't know how I got caught until after. But, so, like I said, man, like, when they run down on you, that's all. You know what I'm saying? It was a simple thing. Like, the time was up and, it's like, I don't want to be, I don't want to repeat certain things that I said in another interview, but like, when them people came to get me, I'm being 100% honest with you. A part of me was like, whew, let's get this shit over with, man. Let me get this over with, man, because I was tired.
Tired of doing it.
I was tired, bro.
Before then, did you think that you would ever get tired? Or like you said, you were just running off the high. You just had the accelerant, you was going, and that was just what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I was running off of the high, man. I was tired, but I was running off of that high and
not tired enough to stop, though.
Not tired enough to stop. Right. Not tired enough. The error in all of this is that I wasn't tired enough to stop when I could have stopped and lived the life of the legitimate proportion, right? And not recognizing that, you could take this, start a business and live great and leave everything else in the rear view. So, that's kind of the error in these things, man. Not many people make it because greed will take you to places that no drug could ever take you. Like,
wow.
Greed is a hell of a drug, man, like a vicious drug.
Absolutely.
And it could take you down a rabbit hole, man. And you won't even know until you're so deep in it that now it's like you've done too much to keep going and too much to turn back.
So during this time, so you get caught, or are there other co-defendants? Did you get caught by yourself? Was it?
Yeah, there was other guys, man, and they rounded us up, and they made a nice little sweep there, man. You know what I'm saying? Rounded us up and put us in a position where we were hurting, man. Like we were all like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because, when them flight jackets run down on you, right? Them FBI flight jackets, I don't care how tough you think you are, there's going to be people that say, man, I ain't scared, and you frontin', you shook. But there's a line, right? So are you shook enough to hurt somebody else's life when the people run down on you?
Right.
Or are you shook, but you can still hold your head and say, look, man, I'm not snitching on nobody. I'm a hold mine.
So with that being said, you bring that up. So with that being said, were there people, for lack of better words, that told on you, or you maybe thought would stand their ground and they didn't stand their ground?
I'm going to be honest with you. Again, I said this plenty of times, man. Like, the people that I knew would hold up, held up. I don't think there was no surprises in the people that went the other way. I just think that what washed over me when certain people went the other way was a feeling of, like nobody like held a gun to you and told you to be in this life.
Right.
Right? Like, no one held a gun to any of us. I know nobody pulled the hammer out and said, yo, stud, you either be in this life or I'm going to blow your brains out. That's different, right?
At that point, did you think these guys were stand-up guys to begin with, or did you always have something in the back of your head that said, like, he's cool, but he seems a little iffy?
There's one guy in particular that I thought would be a stand-up type of individual, and he wound up not being able to handle that heat, and he went the other way. So, yeah, that's pretty much, how that went.
I'm sure it hurts to think that he was a stand-up guy, and and this is someone from young, or was it like toward an older age?
This is a dude that I grew up with since young, and at that time, he was a certified G, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you not thinking, because he hitting heads,
You'd have bet the house on him.
I'm going to keep it real. I would have. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, see, now we're in the era where a rat is dangerous because he'll shoot you, but if you shoot him and you don't smoke him all the way, you got two things to worry about. Right. Him trying to get back at you and the whole police force right in back of him. Right? Because he done did so much work for them. He's like an honorary member now.
Wow.
So, but back then, you didn't know there was really head hitters like snitching like that. You know what I'm saying? Like because you had the false, you have false like inclinations, I guess, of, this dude's a head hitter. He'll never tell. And then when them dudes get cracked, it's like, whoa, he told? So this dude,
He's certifiable, right?
This dude done hit plenty heads, but yeah, that's how. You know, I guess Hand Me the Bull kind of set that off where you can be a murderer and still be a master splinter.
That's crazy. So do you take this to trial? Do you cop out?
I took a plea, man. I go to trial. I'm not sitting here with you now, man. There was dudes lined up. But the craziest thing is, there was dudes that wasn't even involved in the case that were going to be willing to snitch on shit that the police didn't even know. I couldn't afford that. Like, there was dudes that wasn't even involved in my case.
Right.
Who was like, yeah, they basically had them waiting in the wings. Like, yeah, I'm going to blow his head off.
So, like, during that time, like, what type of time were you looking at before you took the, like, what type of numbers were they throwing out at you at that point?
So they were throwing out all different numbers, man. You know, when we first came in, they was like the amount of drugs that was involved in the conspiracy. They were trying to group everything up. There were, you know, other situations, homicide situations that they were trying to group with certain individuals. So there was like life being thrown out there. There was, there was anything from 18 years on up, you know, things like that. So, at one time they tossed a global plea out. Like, they tossed us a global plea offer, and a lot of the guys were like, nah, we can beat this, you know, being ignorant to the law and not knowing how the federal agents will lie, cheat, and steal. Man, it's like you don't know. So it's like I think a lot of us thought that the feds were like, kind of like New York State. Like, we could get around this if they did this wrong. But people don't know the feds cheat.
Okay.
Like, they're not playing fair. So it's never going to be where you say, okay, well, they did this. Well, the chain of evidence was broken here. It was supposed to be kept solid all the way through. Yo, this shouldn't be admitted. The judge is saying, oh, man, well, that's harmless error. And there's nothing you can do about it. Harmless error, man. You playing with a bunch of lives, man.
So when you went in there and they was like, this is what you're going to take, and you just jump right on it, like, all right. Were you out to just save yourself at that point, or was it?
Not right on it. Like, you had to chill and see what the offers were. Like, you know what I'm saying? So there weren't very many. So, like, you know, you have to make decisions, and the feds don't give you a lot of time to kind of go over those. Like, they say, listen, man, we offering you this. If you don't make a decision by this time, it's going to go up.
Right. Because isn't this like a situation where if you have a plea, the only way that you, I guess, could take that plea back and change it, unless it was like some substantial evidence or there was some type of where a person would say, I didn't have I didn't partake in this type of actions.
Nah, listen, they don't care. I mean, bro, you could have, man, listen, you could have sold more drugs than a law will allow, and you might not have been hand to hand in it.
Okay.
Right? So with the feds, if I'm there, now, as a matter of fact, let me switch that. I'm going to give you a real situation. So The feds charged me with 5 sales to an undercover,
Okay.
right? I never sold to this dude one time. My little man sold to him, but I drove him.
Okay. So like a guilty by association type of deal.
Yeah, but that's not how they played it.
Okay.
They wanted me. They didn't want him. His voice was on the wiretap and everything. But they wanted me. So it was like, yo, they put the sales on me, bro. They literally took the sales that he made. I drove him there, right? I could tell you this now. I copped out to it already.
Right.
I drove him there. He jumped out, made the sales. I was in the car. The car had, the windows were so black on the car, he couldn't even see it was me. But eventually they knew it was my whip. They put the 5 sales on me. Let my little man slide off. That was cool though. All right, cool. Y'all putting the sales on me. I'm not gonna run back to him and say, nah, that wasn't me. That was him. You know
right, but without necessarily saying it was him though, you are basically taking a 5 sale indictment for something you didn't do. Now again, that by no means am I saying snitch on little homie.
No, that's a fact. So,
but it's just, to accept something, sometimes when you're wrong, you can accept some shit that you did wrong, and then other shit you like, all right, well look, I did this. Like you said, I drove him, but I didn't sell to this guy 5 times. Like, so you get me on this, don't try to get me on that.
But that's not how it works.
Okay.
That's not how it works. That's why I say they lie, cheat, and steal. Because how they want to play is, if you don't tell us who sold those 5 times, then you sold them 5 times. And I wasn't about to tell them anything in the least of who sold that. Me and my little man, though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't me. And I didn't necessarily even want him to come and say, oh, nah, that was me. That don't work in the feds anyway.
Or someone else coming in, like, look like they're trying to take some heat off you.
That don't work. That don't work. So the feds is not going to be like, yo, he did it. Okay. He's stepping forward saying he did it. Well, they're going to be like, nah, yo, you could pay anybody to say you did this or they did this. Nah, they knew who they wanted. They put the 5 sales on me. But at the end of the day, I didn't really trip on that because there was a lot of shit that I did do that it really, them 5 sales wouldn't have even did me no more harm than the shit that I did do.
Right. That they had you red-handed on doing.
Right. So it's like, yo, and I did shit that I never got caught for.
So you just chalked it all up, like
like you gotta know when to, like you gotta look at your hand and say, damn, I'm playing spades. I ain't got no spades in my hand. I ain't got no trump cards in my hand. Man, I'm about to lay this shit down. We going, I don't even got a possible.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I can't help my partner. So, like, you got to understand that at certain times and just be like, yo, you know what, man? I did shit that I didn't get knocked for that could have lost me. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to chill. You know what I'm saying? Them 5 sales ain't going to make or break me. Because even with them, let's just say, even if they took those off, I was still going to get smoked. Because this shit that I did do amounted up to where them 5 sales wouldn't even, so we're not going to wrangle over that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
So, people that's probably going to see this and come out, and there's probably be some haters.
Yeah.
So
always
to jump ahead of the hate, what would you say to anybody that, like I said, would say that you weren't out there getting that much money? Is it a seeing is believing?
I would say you're absolutely right. If that's what you say.
Right.
I mean, I'm all about if that's your story, stick to it, man. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. I mean, am I going to parade a bunch of witnesses in here to try to prove something to anybody? Of course not.
Right.
I don't even condone the shit I used to be involved in. Only a person that needs clout would go out of their way to get people to come and vouch for them. Right? You know what I'm saying? I can pick up this iPhone right here and put some people on speakerphone that could tell you things, right? But why would I do that?
Well, I mean, some would say to shut the haters up.
Man, I love them, man. I love haters, man. And a lot of the hate is coming from people that, you know, they're trying to gain status and using me to try to, you know, gain their little status. I guess now it's like, yo, you know, the old head, because I'm him now. I'm the old head that, you know, I got old heads.
Right.
Now I'm the old heads to the dudes that trying to gain their status now. But it's different because they not coming up in the environment that I came up in. Right? And a lot of them be rats and all kinds of foul individuals. So it's like I don't even address them. Like, I'm serious. Like, dudes be shooting subliminals and all kinds of shit. And, you know what I'm saying, when they see me, it's a dap and a hug. I take that as a sign of respect. I respect you too. You know, I mean, I just don't, I don't see a point in me having to prove anything, especially to some motherfuckers who couldn't hold water when them white people was in their face saying, we're going to give you, if you don't, and you cooperate.
So that slightly sounds like a subliminal. So are you by any chance talking about anybody that was a part of your case?
No.
Okay.
No, actually, I'm actually speaking in general to anybody that feels like they have any hate for me, a dude that's out of your way. Like, I ain't in your way. You ain't challenging me for the biggest supremacy, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, my street days are over. That, I mean, as simple as that. Like, my street days are over, man. You know what I'm saying?
So, Stud, I watched Ty's video and I heard you say something to the effect that there was somebody in your crew hating on you your whole life. Who was it?
Who was it? So, as you know, I'm not going to name drop, right?
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you this. Like, when you have a crew, right, and you running with a crew, man, everything's not going to be as glamorous as it seems. Like, you know, you might hear the stories in the street. You might hear about the glamour of it and the glitz of it. But there's a lot of stuff on the inside that people don't know. While I won't say who's who or what's what as far as that, I will say that, you know, I love all of my brothers. I felt like, you know, there was a lot of, you know, I just felt like there was animosity that I didn't know about from the younger days on growing up. And no matter how much animosity there is, I still love my brothers. And, you know, basically, you know, to this day, I'll never not respect those brothers. And, you know, that's pretty much it. Like, I understand how life goes. You're not always going to see eye to eye with certain people.
Right.
You know, there are going to be certain people that try to harm you in certain ways. And I'm not always talking about like harming you as hurting you in the physical aspect.
Right.
There's a mental and emotional aspects to how people try to hurt you. So with that being said, though, you know, that's life, and you know, I've moved on.
Even with moving on, or are you and that person cordial to this day?
I love all of my brothers, and I'm always going to be cordial with them, with all of them. But to specifically answer your question, yes, I don't speak to the brother very often, but it's always love, and that's how it's going to be.
Do you think by any chance it could have been a situation where maybe he thought that you were much bigger in the crew than he was? Do you think you can put your finger on it a little bit?
Nah, I mean, I don't really necessarily know that. Like, I mean, that would be for, you know, that man to answer. But my thing is this, man. Like, I don't harbor no ill will towards anybody, and I don't hold grudges, man. You know, I've been the type of person that could shrug off anything in my life. So, like, for me to hold a grudge or to feel some type of way, that's too much energy, man.
Right, but I mean, to a certain extent, you do feel a type of way.
I don't know. Elaborate.
Well, I mean, because like I said, based on the interview, like you said, you said that you thought that this person was hating. So, I mean, you might not dwell on it, but you do have a definite feeling about it, though.
Of course, as a human being, we always have a feeling. But I was asked a question.
Okay.
And I answered the question in the best possible way. So that's kind of how that went, man. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, there's your clarity, people. We'll see. Not to glorify it in any way, but do you ever sit back and be like, damn, I kind of missed that shit, though?
No.
Not even a little bit?
Nah, I don't miss it.
Because I'm sure to go from, all of that money a night to having to work a 9 to 5, and it may not be coming obviously as fast as a 9 to 5. Like, no part of you would be like, damn, man, I wish I could go blow 2,000 in the mall right quick. I'm not saying that you can't now. I'm just, no part of you misses that at all.
Well, let's get one thing straight. I cannot blow 500 in the mall right now.
Right.
But no, I don't miss it because, as they say, there's no loyalty amongst thieves. There's no honor amongst thieves, man. And in that life, especially now, man.
So, I mean to cut you off. So knowing that, no honor amongst thieves, it shouldn't even bother you that these guys, one would think it shouldn't even bother you that these dudes was rats, whoever they may be. Because it's like you said, there's no honor amongst thieves.
Right.
So, like, I wouldn't put it past them to begin with.
You just made my point. It doesn't bother me that they're rats. It really doesn't bother me because at the end of the day, I don't have to be around them, right? And the universe is going to take care of its own, right? All of us are going to have to, the chickens are going to come home to roost.
Absolutely.
Right? So all of us have to pay for what we bought for. You get what your hand called for. Right? You snitched on some people, the universe gonna bring that back on you. I don't gotta deal with that. I got enough to deal with from the lives I've hurt of people that I sold drugs to. There were people that at certain times went without food because their parent bought drugs off for me. So I got to deal with that. I ain't worried about you ratting. That's why now, like, there was a point in my life where I was worrying about who was this and who was that. Right now, it's about, as long as you stay away from me, I'm going to stay away from you. I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to get out your way. We not in a position where, like, and I say we, like me, my children, and whoever else is in my family who I love.
Right.
We're not in a position to be worried about what anybody else is or aren't, or however. I'm just here living my life. You know what I'm saying? I work 9 to 5 every day. I wake up early every day, right? So whoever got their issues, you deal with your issues. You know, I heard chatter, man. You know what I'm saying? I hear chatter. I ignore the chatter, because at the end of the day, whatever they're looking for, I wish them the best on locating whatever they're looking for.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm on it. You know
A few more questions. So how was your transition after getting out of jail? Like, was it a hard transition for you? Like most people we hear, you know, get out of jail, it's hard after doing all of that time.
Yeah, it's a rough transition. I kept my mind in a place where, you know, I didn't lose myself when I came home from prison. Like, I kept myself, or I tried to keep myself in a place where I didn't lose myself. And, you know, I went, you know, trying to find a job. I knew I couldn't hustle no more. That's over with. So, you know, I found me a job, and I kind of laid back, man, you know, paying bills like a regular square now. You know what I'm saying?
So to that point, there's some chatter, or some people will say that, EB helped you get the job, helped you get your job that you at now.
I mean, if we can clarify who's EB, because there's a couple of people, you know.
Elton Brand.
Okay.
There's some people that say Elton Brand. You know, a lot of people I would hear around town like, yo, how the fuck Stud get a job at a good city job like this, and he did all his time, and I was free, and they never could get in there because he must be paying for favors. How do you feel about that? What do you say to those people that say Elton Brand got you the job?
Wow. I would say that those people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That's number one. I mean, El is my friend, man. You know, childhood friend. He doesn't owe me anything. He did not get me that job. Like, he got me interviews on other jobs and things like that, of people that he knew. But ultimately, the job that I have now, he helped me get prepared to be ready to have a job like I have now, but he didn't get me the job. He didn't pay nobody to help me out.
Or it wasn't like a name drop, like, yo, you know, I'm Elton Brand, I could do a little something under the table for you, get my guy a job.
If that's the case, I would have had him, you know, name drop to a job where I made a lot more money.
Right.
Like if it was that easy, right? I'd say, yo, E, listen, man, I'm trying to start this business because I'd much rather have my own business than to work for anybody. I'd have them name drop in places that could secure my family forever. Because just like anybody, I'm trying to secure my family forever.
Right.
I ain't trying to struggle. So if that's the case, if EB did that, I'd tell him, yo, take it a step further, homie. Drop your name in a place where I could be secure and secure my family for life.
I like that.
So yeah.
I like that. I like that. On that note, Stud, I appreciate you, man. Hopefully when this get out to the people, man, if they have some questions, some of their questions were answered. And I guess if not, fuck them, maybe.
You already.
So it's not black.
It's not white.
It's the gray area. Peace.
Peace.